Welcome to Tom Salta Masterclass Live. We are here today with many of my students from the various masterclass courses that I've done to do a live Q&A discussion event and also a demo critique. So I want to welcome each and every one of you today. We have Chris, Greg, Leo, and Catherine. We might have some other people that come in a little bit later. As always, if you want to be a part of this and join this live conversation, all you have to do is sign up for any of my courses through my website, and you can do it right. Then you can join. I think there it is. There's the link. TomSalta.com/masterclass, and then you will be part of this monthly live session where we can have live conversations. You could submit things, and we'll be together on video. Also, for those of you watching on YouTube, feel free to jump into the discussion if you have any questions you want me to address. If we have time, which we usually do, I'll take a peek over at the chat window, and we can address those as well. All right, cool. So before we get into it, once again, I kind of just want to welcome everybody. There we go. Just working on my little thing here. This Friday, I'm working on something new called the World Sleep Day Initiative. Yes, there is a thing called World Sleep Day, and March 18th is indeed World Sleep Day. I was invited by Decca Records under the Universal umbrella to create a few pieces of music, actually a couple, to start for release on World Sleep Day. And the music is meant to be super relaxing, de-stressing. I think we could all use that. And it's really great to kind of listen to when you want to kind of wind down before bed. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I'm going to be doing more, but I'm going to be releasing 2 tracks this Friday, and I actually have a live Reddit stream coming this Friday, so look for that information on my social media channels, Facebook and Instagram. I'm new to this a little bit. I haven't done much on Reddit, but it's kind of like a sort of like this where I do broadcast, and then people can kind of like type their questions and join in and watch live. So it should be a big turnout. They're going to actually feature it for World Sleep Day, so there might be like thousands and thousands of people watching. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. I'm going to be performing actually a couple of the tracks and maybe some stuff that I've done in video games on the relaxing side. Probably some Halo stuff. We'll see. Anyway, so let's focus on you guys now. Again, welcome to all of you, and I wanted to start by always by asking you guys, what are some of the challenges that you're dealing with right now, as you know, as professionals in composing and audio and mixing and work-life balance and technical stuff, anything and everything. Do you guys have any things you kind of want to throw out to me and the community here as we start the conversation? Chris?
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Whatever it's somebody can help me. It's not necessarily compositional.
Okay.
I'm working on a spot at the moment. I've already done the music for it, and I'm now doing some of the sound design for it, which is something I haven't done before.
Ah, okay.
Looking through the brief, I can see that there's quite a lot in there. And basically, my challenge is that I'm facing at the moment is trying to strike an audible balance, because when I look through the list of things that's required and look at the animations and what I've done with the music, I'm thinking it could be quite full. It could actually be quite cacophonous. So that's something that I'm finding a challenge at the moment, trying to find that audible balance to get everything to sit right.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is the challenge, right? And it's perhaps next to impossible to do something like that without being able to put it into context, and at least to have a few trial and errors, try it out. And so my question to you is, in this project, I don't know how much you can say, do you have the ability to listen to it in context, at least relatively to the rest of the stuff that's in it?
Well, I have been sent some screen captures, which is useful.
Yes.
Have two separate themes within this one slot, and it seems to be a little bit more involved than other slots that I've seen. And one of them involves the tube, the underground. Another one involves the inside of a bar. And already I'm thinking, well, that's two white noise sounds right there. Before I even got to the music.
Right. Oh, absolutely. My advice to you is to simulate it as closely as you can. Get creative doing that. Is this a video game, or is this a device that will be in another environment, or a loud environment, or soft? Like, what's the context?
It's an online slot.
It's an online slot. Okay, so this is something that people will play at home on their mobile devices, typically.
Yeah, or web browser or whatever.
Okay. And I think a lot of people like this are going to probably have the sound very soft. So, it's kind of like up to you to put yourself in the position of the end user, the player. And to, so for example, if I was working on something like that, I would take all the sounds that they did, I would put them into my session or have them looping and playing in the background. I would probably lower everything to a soft level and put my music in up against it, and to kind of see how it sits, what you can hear, what you can't hear, make adjustments to everything from instrumentation, to volume. Those are the primary things. Some people get a little carried away with saying, well, I have to re-EQ every instrument because it's going to be with, what the best EQ is the natural instrument itself, is the sound itself, so that would be really the what I would do, is just really try to focus on putting it into context. And then at the end of the day, if you can send it to the client and you can request a capture, do that. I always do that. Here are the assets. Can you do a screen capture? Can you do a video capture and let me hear everything working or not working? Right?
Yeah.
Does that help at all?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great. Okay, cool. So, Leo, how are you, man?
Yeah, good, good. I know you covered this in some of the coursework already when it comes to reference tracks,
Uh-huh.
but how close is it variable on how close you stick to the references that you were given?
Oh, yes. The eternal challenge. How closely do you get to the reference music? Um, you know, that's an art. That's not really a science. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I can tell you that there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Even if the client wants you to get super close, you have to keep in mind the legalities of it, the copyright infringement, because your name's going on this thing, and it's not going to bode well for you if, um, you know, nowadays, everything's available to the public, and everybody can comment publicly on your work. So what you don't want to have someone do is say, "Hey, that sounds exactly like blah blah blah." It happens. It happens even when you don't mean to do it.
Right.
That's happened to me. I'll tell you that. I remember like one person had a comment on one of the themes that I released. One person. And it affected everything that I did. Like I had to even though it was completely ridiculous. It's like, "Oh, those 3 notes are in this theme on this movie." I'm like, "Really? And this and this and this and this perhaps, but I only got 12 notes to choose from." But you can't control that. So if you know it, if you can hear it, if it kind of bothers you a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's like, yeah, then don't do it. I've been in a situation where I was asked, I made the client really, really happy. They put the thing out, and somebody made a YouTube video that compared it to what the reference music was. They figured it out. And it was a side by side. Do you know how humiliating that is?
Well, and that was a follow-up piece to the question too, is because oftentimes in the past, right, you'll take the reference and there might be the structure
Yeah.
or the A B section. Do you keep those, or do you just completely disregard that and just keep the main style, if you will?
Well, that is a that's a again, it depends on the situation.
Okay.
It depends on the situation. For example, I'm working on something right now, and the ask was, we like the melodies in this kind of music,
Mhm.
right? But we like the production in this kind of thing. We like this and this and So I really had to have to make a judgment call as to, well, what is it about those melodies that they like, and how close do I get to the shape of those melodies? Sometimes it takes a few times to listen to something, to create something that kind of follows the idea, and then take a step back and then let it evolve into something more and more original. This is a really weird thing that composers like us have to go through, because as an artist, it's, sure, it can be a thing, but usually as an artist, we're not consciously trying to rip somebody off. At least I hope not. I mean, some people do, right? And some people get in trouble and they get called on it, and some don't. Look, here's the last thing I'll say about it. Is I have this philosophy, I guess you could say. If I create something that I honestly feel is authentic to me, I'm being authentic. I'm not like, this is something I would do. Right? Not something like, oh yeah, I'm trying to borrow the formula from this, or if this feels like this is me and I can be proud of it. It's like that little voice in your head. It kind of knows. It's like, good job, you got it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know what? You do have to make the clients happy, but you don't want to put yourself out there and risk your reputation.
Yep.
Or legal action, because then that'll be the end of your work. And you won't get hired again. So I know it's a bit of a convoluted answer, but it's a messy area, and it's a very good question that you asked there. Really good. We have to deal with that a lot. Okay, cool. So before we get into listening to some of your submissions, are there any other questions you want to ask now? Can always ask later. Okay, cool. So why don't we start with a submission by Catherine. Hey, Catherine.
Hi.
Hello. All right, cool. So tell me, what did you submit today?
To leave or stay, which is something I did for this little 7-day composing challenge, which is based on the world events that are happening. So
yes.
I think of it more like a contemplative piece. Once again,
Oops.
I didn't have access to synth when I did this, so a lot of it was guitar, and then I used a loop for the drums. I guess part of this is kind of like, when I listen to it, I like putting things that don't necessarily go together to see how they fit. So the groove was kind of like guitar oriented, more like this kind of vibey, I guess, contemplative music against a groove that was kind of trip hoppy.
Right.
And I started it, so it's like how I put it in, but also like just in general, like I feel like the mix could be better. I mean, it's kind of just like a little draft, so it's like the things I'd be looking for is like, how can I make it better? It's kind of supposed to be you in your head. You're contemplating. You're in this like bad situation. Are you gonna leave? Are you gonna stay? And how the groove kind of works. I think it works. It's a little weird, I think, when it comes in, but that's Anyway, that's what I got.
Okay, let's take a listen. Whoa. All right. Cool. That is, I would say in a word, trippy. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Very interesting. Now, at the beginning, it kind of caught me off guard because I'm hearing all this percussion and these things. I wasn't sure what kind of feel or time signature we're in, or you know, like. And then I kind of figured out it was doing like triplets, like it. But it was, I mean, it's a deep cut. You know, if I were to say, you know, that's going to probably, I would say, not appeal to the average listener because it was so complex right away. Do you ever notice how songs that are really popular, not that you're trying to make a pop song here, we know what this is. I mean, this is a exploration. It's an emotional kind of, you know, artistic representation, musical representation of what you're feeling. Perhaps, you know, I'm feeling, you know, some darkness and dismalness and cacophony and disorder and you know, that's all valid, right? But like with anything else, I'm a big fan of music that can appeal to as many people as possible, because if no one's going to listen to it, you're not touching as many people, right? Now, that's just my personal preference. I mean, if you were to talk to Miles Davis, it'd be a lot different, right?
Yeah.
So, who am I? I'm not here to judge your art. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it and things that you might not have considered. But I typically like, when I create something, to start with a simple idea and to kind of let it evolve. So let the person understand that idea, add something new, and then add something new to it. This is neat. I mean, it kind of had a pretty much like a very kind of even parallel feel to it. Like it started at this level and it just went until it ended. Maybe that's what you want, or maybe you kind of want to go on a journey. I'm a big fan of music that takes you on a journey. And to take you on a journey, it has to start somewhere, go somewhere different, grow, change, evolve, then, you know, go somewhere. This is kind of like I'm standing in place, in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, that I think based on the images that I was looking at and the stories I was hearing,
Okay.
if you're stuck in this place where you're like, oh, am I going to walk out my door and get bombed, or should I stay here? It's like you're kind of static. So that was kind of the vibe I was going for.
Maybe. And you know what? I'm sure if it was put to picture, it would kind of start to make a lot more sense to anyone, including myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in your head, so I don't really know exactly where that creative guidance is coming from. But that seemed to do the job. I mean, it's not a very pleasant piece.
Yeah.
Nor should it be. You know,
Yeah,
but
it wasn't supposed
you know, I don't know if I would say it sounds like Massive Attack, but it kind of has this, you know, just really dark, trippy thing with the the loop thing going on there. It's interesting. But the things were balanced. I think it was fine. I think it was balanced. The guitar is certainly the focus of the piece. And I like the imaging on it and the way you kind of have things panned left and right. So that's cool. All right. Great. Good job.
Cool. Thanks.
Nice. All right, cool. Let's see. Do we have it? We have a question. All right. Hey there. All right. So, how do I choose a style of music for video games? Have you ever had problems that you cannot convey the right tone of the gameplay? Okay. Well, that's a great question, and certainly one that all video game composers have encountered. First of all, the style of music for a video game or a film or a TV show is usually not all up to the composer. Most often, in fact, I'd say in every case in my career, it's always started with creative direction from the developer. Whether it's the audio director or whether it's the producer or all of the above, it's really going to start there. For example, when I was doing Deathloop, I got a 52-page document from Arcane about the game itself, and it talked from everything from backstory of the characters to musical styles and influences and inspirations. And then it became an organic process where I kind of would, speak with the audio director. We'd have these conversations. I'd try to understand where they're coming from, where the artistic vision is. And then I would start to present my own interpretations of it, maybe some additional reference music, maybe some basic ideas, and talk about it and kind of get a feel for what's working, what they want, what's working, what's not working, kind of setting boundaries. And it's a wonderful, creative, collaborative process. That's one of the things I really like about it. It's not really like an artist saying, okay, I'm by myself and I'm just going to invent this music and it's just going to magically work. It doesn't happen that way. It's got to be, when you're working on a video game, you are a member of a team. Okay, and I think all professionals need to always keep that in mind, that you're a member of a team. This isn't about you or your music. It's about the project that you're supporting. So I hope that answers your question. Really good one. Cool. All right. So let's go on to another submission. We have one from Leo. Hey, Leo.
Hello.
Hey, man. So why don't you talk to us?
Yeah. So this track was actually a demo that I wrote for a game team that I'm working with. And in fact, the level has barely even been created.
Mm-hmm.
All I got was that it's a kind of jazzy spy type feel that they wanted.
Okay.
And do it. So the way that I've structured it, like I structure most demo songs that I give, is we take it, I create it in a loop. So the loop point is about 2.5 minutes in, just so they can hear what it would look like the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they like it or if they don't want revisions, we'll take it. I'll actually split out individual components.
Right.
Break out the song itself, create those, and I'm fortunate enough to actually be asked to do the implementation as well. So then I'll hop into Wise, piece them together.
Okay.
And kind of allow it to do its thing. And here we need to do a couple more things. Again, the level hasn't even been built yet, but we'll create. So you've got, it's a sneaky. The character sneaks around in this particular one. And then there's a space where he gets spotted or possibility of getting spotted, and then hopefully the music should ramp up a little bit at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's not the finished product, it's just a demo to say, here's, again, going back to the direction that I think may work based upon what you've told me in the reference given.
Okay. Great. Let's check it out. Now, just so I stop you right here, is this supposed to be the lowest energy state?
It is. It is.
You have drums in there, though.
I do have drums that are playing kind of just in the background.
No, I wouldn't say it's in the background. They sound, you know, and I'm imagining this in the context of a game, walking around, nothing's there. You know, those drums are going to really kind of come very prominently, and for example, you won't hear footsteps, so you won't hear someone touching the doorknob, or you know, little incidental sounds like that.
Yep.
You know, I would really, when you're making music for games in particular, I really try to explore the full spectrum of intensities. What's the least I can do to accomplish, you know, what's the least amount of music that could be happening right now to set the tone? And what that's going to do is it's really going to increase the dynamic range of the score. This will sound just great without those drums, by the way. You know what I mean? Now, at this point, I'm ready for a change. Right there, it's going to start getting really monotonous. Right? Anytime you're doing music that's going to loop, and even if it's not going to loop, but especially when it's going to loop, be very careful about putting loops inside of loops. Unless you're doing death loop. No, even then, and talking to, you know, there's a lot of spy music in there, but if you listen to the score, it's constantly adding new things and variety to kind of keep it fresh, right? So anytime you give a client, anytime you're creating a 2-minute piece, use those 2 minutes to their fullest capacity. Don't make it like, well, it's a 30-second cue that loops 4 times. That's not a 2-minute cue. Even if you put a little extra stuff, you know, that's not only is it cheating, but you're cheating yourself, because you know it's going to get boring. People aren't going to like it. Get monotonous, and the last thing you want is for people to turn the music off. So, you know, when you listen, I'm sorry to start and keep stopping here, but when you listen to music, as you're learning this craft to get better and better, as we all are, pay attention to other scores that you like and analyze them. Why is it keeping me interested? Like, oh wow, every 4 bars there's something new or different, or every 8 bars it changes to a new section, or there's a modulation, or you know, like you could be modulating here. That would help a lot, even if you didn't do an extra note. Right? Every 8 bars modulate. Why not? Yeah. It's like at this point I get the idea. Okay, so now I'm going to jump ahead. See that? I can't even tell if whether I'm 2 minutes in or 20 seconds in. That's a problem, right? Okay, let's keep moving. Now I'm 3 minutes in. We have a change. But the drums are still the same. See what I mean? Oops. So the drums are still the same, but you just have an extra part over it. Which, I understand, you're kind of escalating the tension, but you could do a lot more than that, and you can certainly change the bass. You could even modulate. You can add, you know, maybe some hi-hat and right? Like, as far as intensity goes, like everything I'm hearing, to me, this could work. This is one state. I didn't really hear a change in emotion. You see what I mean? The point of different sections is to really change the emotional state. It's not meant to just add variety. The variety should be added already. But if you want to change an emotional state, you got to make it clear that you're changing the emotional state. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. One of the many ways is, of course, is to explore the full spectrum of intensities. Like, this didn't get really any bigger or smaller. I don't even consider that string making it bigger. I just consider it, maybe a little extra B section or variation.
Got it.
All right. So there you go. Thank you very much for submitting that.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, cool. So let's see. Back to the group. Again, feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. You don't want me to pick on you, do you? No, I'm serious. There's all kinds of things we can talk about, so don't be shy. Anything from production to mix to, all of that stuff. Okay, cool. Let's see. I had a little text come in here, and we do have a new. Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you. Great. All right, Greg. Looks like you submitted something. Talk to me.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so you'll have to track over to 5 minutes 29 seconds because this was 2 tracks I was talking about earlier. This is a short 12-string guitar track off of an album I did with one of the bands I work with.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2018 is when we put it out. So it's like bass and 12-string guitar. I think there's some cymbal swells or whatever, but that's about it. Anyway, just to tell you what the instrumentation is. And so this is just something I did that it was just kind of cool vibe to it. I don't know if I have specific. Just check it out. See, get your impression of it. Really, I don't have any specific thing. Just check it out.
Okay, great, cool.
Your impressions, yeah.
All right, great. Let's do it.
Oh, feel free to track around. It's like 2 minutes plus. Just whatever you want to do.
Okay. Oh yeah, I have this is like 7.5 minutes. All right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, jump to 5 minutes 29 if you can.
5:29.
That.
No problem. Here we go. 5:17. All right, here we go. $29. Here it is. Yeah. Good. Good. So we got a single guitar, nice ambience. I'd like to hear a little more width. No, just okay. Ooh, progressive rock. Interesting.
I
Interesting.
forgot that the full band was in there. I forgot that I put all that in there.
So
For the clip. Yeah.
was that a real guitar?
Yeah. Oh, that 12 string. Yeah, that's a real acoustic 12 string.
Because it
Yeah.
sounded so interesting. It sounded very, I don't know, like it was very like, didn't have dynamics to it. I'm just curious.
Oh.
Maybe that's just the nature of the beast, or the way
Maybe we compressed it or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. I mean, if I want to get really, if I'm looking for something to be constructively critical about, I'd say that it does feel a little over processed in some way. It feels like you didn't. There's much more beef to that sound that we could have enjoyed. I mean, I kind of did like the lonely sound of it, though. It feels like it was was it a mono mic or a stereo mic?
You know that I might have been recorded with a cell phone. Actually, I think
That would be a mono, or at least very narrow.
Yeah, yeah.
Recorded with a cell phone. Well, that could explain the sonic issues.
Yeah.
You know, it was a little brittle. I mean, look, it's kind of hilarious if we're going to talk about recording something with a cell phone to talk about, you know, mix issues. I mean, goodness gracious. But yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was interesting. You know, I don't know the context of what you might want to think about for this, but it's another deep cut, I'd say. You know?
Yeah. It's from the album we put out, so it was just thought it was kind of an interesting.
Is it kind of like a progressive rock kind of thing, or?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, progressive metal. That's just the intro to this longer song. So, just kind of a interesting 12-string, you know, pensive sort of sounding thing. So
Yeah, I just want to listen to one more. What's another? Right there, right there, right before it drops in. Was that maybe something on the mixer or something? It sounds like the guitar just for the last two beats just fell back into the reverb a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Brings it back in, and then the band kicks in. Right.
Oh, okay. So that was an intentional little ear candy moment.
Yeah, sort of like the guitar's up front, and then it drops back when the band kicks up, so that it isn't such an abrupt switch between 12-string and like full band.
I see.
Yeah.
I would exaggerate that. I think 9 out of 10 people won't catch that. You know, that have as critical ears as you and I do, listening to these as musicians and engineers. But, you know, always exaggerate. Just try to make it like, oh, did you hear that? What? Hear what? You know what I mean? It should be, maybe give it a little bit more time. Maybe accentuate it with some other kind of sound or effect. Or maybe put it through a phaser or something as it goes into the distance. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah. That's interesting because I feel like I tend to make choices that are subtler.
Yes.
That I end up thinking, like, I listen back and I'm like, oh, I don't want to like make this really poke through too much, and then
that's an artistic choice. Some artists are very blatant. They're like, look, and they make it very easy to spoon feed what they're trying to come across. That's the world that I come from. I mean, I grew up listening to producers like Trevor Horn and Mutt Lange and Quincy Jones, and they're tailoring to mainstream audiences, but they're incredible producers, and especially with Trevor Horn. I mean, he just takes you on these journeys, and it's like everybody can appreciate it. So it's just a question of just adding little things to your toolbox and deciding what you resonate with artistically. Does that make sense?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Great. That was cool, though. Thank you for the trip. All right. Let's see. Catherine, it looks like you have a hand up there.
I do. So I have a question for people who are not necessarily drummers but have to do programming.
Yeah.
When you're programming drums, like what are some of the favorite or like easy ways to kind of like program something like when you're playing. I mean, sometimes I'm using just like I'm not a piano player, I'm not a keyboard player, but sometimes I just use this MIDI keyboard and start banging out stuff. But I'm just wondering if there's like, what are some of the, are there like alternative ways or like a better way to kind of like do some kind of drum, pads or drum programming?
Yeah. I have my opinion now. I want Chris Frost to jump in on this too after I give my opinion, because he's going to probably say something quite opposite. I will. But the way that I personally find it useful is that I play it. I do not program my drums. And by playing it, I can kind of pretend I am a drummer, and I'm able to really get the right feel and the nuances and the ghosting and the variations, and it's a natural performance. I mean, that's one of the things that, in my opinion, sets apart a fake sounding drum that's programmed compared to a performed drum part. I think that people who have experienced drumming also have a little advantage in that case. I am not one of those people, but I still do pretty good drum parts. In fact, I've been hired for many years by top people for my drum programming. And, I don't know where that kind of came from, but maybe it just came from doing a lot of listening and just pretending, I'm just seeing if I can kind of call up a little drum kit here. Let's see. I have a little thing I'm playing, but it's not. Oh, I know why. Can you hear this? Oh, there's crazy latency. Oh, that's not going to work. I think I'm like 2,000 milliseconds here. Yeah, this is kind of silly. This is an old Beatles kit kind of thing.
But you got original sound on?
Original sound. I do have original sound on. No, the latency I'm getting is when I hit the note to when it comes out. So I can't really perform something right now. I'm not sure why that is. But in any case, so long story short, Catherine, my solution to that is to play. Is to play it in.
But you're using a keyboard to do these parts, right?
I am. I am. There, look, plenty of people, especially those with experience being drummers. I mean, look, if you were a drummer, I would say go get yourself at least some pads, at least, and at most get yourself a MIDI drum kit. I've worked with drummers who, gave me MIDI stuff, but they performed it in live, and it was like, wow. I mean, you can't tell the difference. It's incredible. Every little nuance and feel and whatever, it's like fantastic. But there are those anomalies out there, like Chris Frost, who apparently program things in, and there's all the variety and all the fills and all the craziness. And, Chris, would you like to speak to this? You psycho?
Sure. I mean, I do have pads as well. I bought the Nano pad ages to go for this kind of thing, but I can't get on with this kind of thing. And I've got a keyboard, of course. But I spent so much time with drummers and producing their stuff and converting it into MIDI in order to remap it into new samples that, I've analysed the way that a drummer plays. And I always feel that any instrument, whether you want to do a violin, cello, whatever, spend some time with an instrumentalist, learn how they play and try to mimic that. So now I draw it in. I don't hit it on a keyboard because I don't feel I can get the right feel. My fingers don't correspond to the way that limbs work when you're playing. To get more of a human feel, don't quantize everything to the nth degree. Generally, when they hit a higher dynamic, they tend to speed up. So you move the notes slightly ahead. They always hit on the accent. So if it's in 4/4, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That hi-hat will hit harder on that than it will on the offbeats and things like that. So when you start sort of looking at performances, you end up just trying to mimic the way that a drummer plays. So I draw it in just because I don't want to go in afterwards and correct everything and spend more time than if I just drew it in the way I wanted to in the first place.
But when you say you draw it in, like, I'm just trying to imagine, like, what is that? What tool are you using to do that again? Maybe I'm not understanding.
I'm using my mouse on the piano roll.
Oh.
Yeah, the piano roll view, the thing with all the little dashes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but look, there is also a middle ground. So, for example, again, I prefer to play things in. Now, I have no problem with quantizing because when I work on quantizing, I always am able to adjust it to a degree. So there's plenty of shades of gray between 100 and 0, right? So I can, depending on how I was playing something, I can also adjust it where it feels tight but not computer-ish and stiff. There's a difference between being stiff and then just like a really good drummer. You know, right? You listen to Neil Peart, you know, from Rush. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, the man's a machine. It's just, and other drummers, Vinnie Colaiuta, whatever. I mean, just name the drummers. Just incredible. So it becomes an art form and a feel. But that I still like that. And then what you can do is after you perform it in, maybe you want to kind of make some corrections, or maybe you do want to tap a few extra little notes in there that you didn't play. Add a few little, sometimes, sometimes I'm like, I try so hard to do that quick, crazy roll, and I'm like, I got half of it. So then I'll just go into the piano roll, and I'll just, maybe copy that, move this over, move the note, and whatever. So it becomes a hybrid of some programming and performing. But for me, the performing factor is where it sounds real. So if you listen to any like the fight beats in Deathloop, that's just me playing it on a virtual keyboard. And especially the escape cues. Like I couldn't even find programmed MIDI patterns that were going to do all that kind of changing, drum soloish things. Pop, 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 boom, boom, so and programming that, I don't even know Chris Frost would make it through that. So, it's so much quicker and realistic, in practice. I mean, I've been finger drumming for 30 years or more,
I'm practicing. I have started to try to do those things. I always feel like, especially doing like tight rolls on a snare, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
I can't get it.
That's fine. Try it. It's
I just feel like I should just get a pad with like sticks and try it, because when I was
why not?
I did play
why not?
band, so I did do
You can get a pad with sticks. You can also get just a regular drum machine pad, like the Native Instruments has their own little thing, the machine thing. It's got the pads like the MPC 60. There are all kinds of ways to do it. There you go. What do you got there, Leo?
What's that?
This is the Alesis Sample Pad 4. And because my drum kit's in storage, so this is the next best alternative. If I can't do anything in, I'll just plug it in really quick, do a fill, do whatever I need, and then go from there.
Perfect. That's awesome.
What is it again? It's the Alesis
Sample Pad 4.
Good. And is it easy to kind of change sounds? Because if there are only 2 pads and you want to kind of play 4 toms, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, it's actually got 4 pads. So it's got the main 2 pads and then these top ones. So typically
okay.
I'll try to do hats on one and snare on the other, and then you can change it up however you want.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, great, awesome. That's the kind of thing I was hoping to find out.
Boom.
Well,
That's what I need.
another little tip for you, if it's of any use, is something that took me a while to learn, is that never go for full 127 velocity, because drummers don't do that. When you want it to sound louder, in a lot of times that's more than likely the production. A really heavy hit sounding snare is not necessarily a heavy hit sounding snare, it's a really compressed snare.
Okay, good.
That's right. That's very true. That's very true. It all depends on the sound itself. It's not just all about hitting it harder. Sometimes you get a better sound by hitting it more lightly. Yeah. Hey, Pablo, welcome. You're a little late. It's probably the time change. We jumped ahead.
Oh, no. Oh, man. Yeah, I thought it was.
So you came for the last 5 minutes. I'm very glad that the Senate unanimously approved something, which was the losing the daylight savings whole nonsense. That's fantastic.
That's good.
Finally, our government agrees on something. That's wonderful.
Yep.
So yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, anyway, so good. We have 5 minutes, so why don't we end with you? Tell us about your submission.
It was a basically like a 5-minute thing that turned into something.
Okay.
Exercise minute 3.31 would be the one of interest for to see what you think.
Okay.
Mostly focusing on composition and see what you think about the drum kit.
Okay, composition.
Drum programming.
We were just talking about drum programming. Perfect timing. So, all right, cool. And you said 1 minute what?
3:31.
3:31. All right, here we go. You might want to mute your mic.
Okay.
Here we go. Huh. All right, cool. The programming itself on the drums, I liked it. I thought it was cool. It was to me, it felt tight and realistic and live. The mix, I think, is way off. It's way too soft in the background. Like the balances of everything just seemed.
Gotcha.
It almost seemed like,
Yeah.
wait, am I actually listening to the drum track, or am I listening to a feed going to some reverb or something? Like it was. But the balance was not right. And one of the quickest and easiest ways that I find, without having to be an experienced audio engineer, to trick yourself into to creating a good balance is just to make the mix really soft when you're mixing it. Make the whole thing really soft. Turn your speakers down. And this way you limit your dynamic range is what you can hear. So in other words, it makes you kind of keep everything within a smaller container, and it'll reveal to you the things that pop out versus the things that are inaudible or too soft or too loud and things like that.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it was all good. Do you want to share how you approached the drums? In other words, did you play them in with your fingers?
Yeah.
Did you use?
Sure. There's this guy called. What's this genre? Like, I think it's Clarence Lawrence or something like that. This dude that was playing Enter Sandman for the first time after hearing it. They challenged the drummer to play Enter Sandman after hearing it one time. And I went to his channel and I saw him playing drums, and he was amazing. So what I did when I was on call at night, since I have a lot of time.
Yes, Pablo is a doctor, everyone. Yeah, let's applaud him for his efforts down in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, wow.
I went down a rabbit hole of seeing how people play drums and trying to basically grab the keyboard and try to emulate some stuff. I recorded the playing and then did some little bit of editing on the drum programming to make it sound kind of what that guy would do, to alternate the what do you call it? I forget the name in English. The splashes. What do you call this?
Yeah, the cymbals. Yeah, the crash cymbals. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Crash cymbals. Sorry, that's not the word in English, but yeah, the crash cymbals, alternating with the crash cymbals, when to do drum fills, etc. So that was kind of my approach in trying to emulate what this guy did.
That's fantastic. Well, that's great, and what a wonderful way to learn right? You learn from people who are awesome at doing it. You listen very, really critically, and you just basically just sped up your whole process of learning something by just standing on the shoulders of someone who is already great doing it, right? And you listened really well. I mean, I was impressed. I would have thought that you had a lot more experience than I know you do with regard to programming drums. So kudos to you. Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right.
Tune track called Superior Drummer 3.
Yeah, it's a great kit. I think Chris uses that one too, right? So anyway, all right, great. So we are out of time. Just a couple of things wanted to mention to everybody. We do this every month, and next month is going to be on the 13th of April, Wednesday. It's always a Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Chris, do we have any discount codes for anyone out there who would be interested in joining us and purchasing one of the masterclass courses for Game Music Essentials or Deathloop?
Yeah, I'm just looking for them right now.
Okay, so we do have those codes, and you can get a lot of money off any of those courses. One of the best hidden benefits of joining and being a member here is that it gives you massive discounts to many of the biggest sample libraries out there, so you can literally save more money than it costs to purchase one of the courses. It's something not to be missed. Don't definitely take advantage of it. This is exactly why we hate the time changes, Toby, because we just finished, because over here in America we advanced the clock an hour. You see? Toby, I don't think you heard me the whole time. We just advanced the clock this past weekend, so you came late to the session. It's not your fault.
Oh, no.
We even had Pablo, who lives in the United States, have the same problem.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that our government has finally approved the idea of getting rid of this silly time change thing. So I am sorry, but we do have a replay of this whole thing. So will be on YouTube.
No, I'll watch it.
I'm sorry, you probably stayed up late too. It was like, I gotta stay up.
Well, no, because I travelled from the UK today. I live in Central Europe.
Oh my
I
God.
travelled from the UK today, so
Yes.
it's an hour ahead of the UK here.
Oh man.
And so like all these different time zones, man.
Wow.
Like,
Oh,
so,
sorry.
Oh, well, that's
Get some sleep. Get some sleep. And speaking of getting some sleep, I have to plug my new project. It's called the Sleep Project. It releases Friday. You can get a sneak peek now if you go on Spotify or anything else and type in my name, Tom Salta, First Sleep, and you'll hear some of this new relaxing music that I'm releasing to help people reduce anxiety, to get ready to go to sleep, to kind of just chill out and just lower the blood pressure and just de-stress. And I think it's a really important thing. So I'm enjoying that, and that we'll be releasing. Cool. So the codes, thank you very much, Chris. The codes, if you haven't purchased any of the courses and you want a huge discount on them, we have a 48-hour code going up. So it's for Game Music Essentials, it's GME-Winter22. We can put that in the comments maybe on YouTube. Chris, maybe you can paste those codes out there. So GME Winter 22, and then we have Deathloop Winter 22, and we also have the bundle. If you want to buy them together, there's a bundle that also saves you a lot on it, which is BDL Winter 22. So Chris will put that in the comments on YouTube, and then that will be it. All right, so I look forward to joining you all at the next event that we have. I hope this was enjoyable for you and informative, except for you, Toby. Not very informative.
Ask me again. Ask me next time when
Yes, I will. Good. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very, very much, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week, and we will be in touch very, very soon. See you around. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.